Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something that might go against the grain of what we often hear, the idea that travel is always good for the soul, at any age. While it's true that travel can be enriching and joyful, it's also important to pause and consider that, in old age, it might come with serious, often hidden, risks, ones that we rarely talk about. This isn't a message of fear. It's a message of wisdom. Travel can be thrilling, but for seniors, it carries hidden medical risks that are often underestimated. One of the most important reasons older adults should reconsider, or at least carefully plan, any trip is the increased likelihood of medical emergencies while away from home. As we age, our bodies undergo changes that make us more vulnerable to health issues, especially in unfamiliar or physically demanding environments. A long flight, for instance, can lead to complications like deep vein thrombosis (DVT), a serious condition where blood clots form due to prolonged sitting. Changes in air pressure, reduced oxygen levels in planes, and dehydration can also pose risks for seniors with heart or lung conditions. Additionally, even slight shifts in diet, climate, or altitude can trigger unexpected reactions. Something as simple as indigestion or a minor infection can escalate into a medical emergency in an elderly person, especially if they're managing multiple medications or chronic illnesses like diabetes, high blood pressure, or arthritis. Unfortunately, healthcare access while traveling isn't always immediate or reliable, particularly in remote or foreign locations. Seniors often carry prescription medications that are tailored to their personal routines. Missing doses, taking the wrong medication due to time zone confusion, or encountering unfamiliar brands in a foreign country can cause serious health issues. Medical facilities abroad may not have the exact drugs a senior relies on, or they may not fully understand a senior's complex medical history, especially if there's a language barrier. Another concern is the lack of emergency support systems while traveling. At home, many seniors have a trusted doctor, family nearby, and a familiar hospital or clinic. While traveling, they may not know where to go in case of a medical issue, who to call, or how to explain their symptoms. This delay in treatment, caused by uncertainty, language differences, or distance from medical centers, can make even minor issues much more serious. It's also important to consider that many seniors experience a gradual decline in balance, mobility, and coordination, increasing the risk of falls and injuries. Navigating unfamiliar streets, uneven terrain, or slippery hotel bathrooms can pose daily hazards that wouldn't exist at home. Lastly, while travel insurance can help, not all policies cover pre-existing conditions or provide adequate emergency care, especially in another country. Seniors may end up paying out of pocket for expensive hospitalizations or emergency evacuations, adding financial stress to an already difficult situation. In short, while travel may seem like an exciting way to enjoy retirement, the potential for sudden and serious medical emergencies increases significantly with age. Without proper preparation, access to care, and support systems in place, a trip that starts out as an adventure could quickly turn into a medical crisis. For many seniors, it's wiser to weigh these risks carefully and prioritize health, safety, and comfort above wanderlust. Higher risk of infection. One of the most overlooked but critical risks for seniors while traveling is the increased vulnerability to infections. As we age, the immune system gradually weakens, a natural process called immunosenescence. This means that older adults are not only more likely to catch illnesses, but may also have a harder time recovering from them. While travel may seem like a harmless adventure, it often places seniors in environments where their exposure to germs and pathogens is much higher than usual. Airports, airplanes, cruise ships, and public transportation are all high-traffic areas filled with people from all over the world. These places are essentially breeding grounds for viruses and bacteria. Seniors traveling through these areas are regularly exposed to contaminated surfaces, handrails, seat belts, tray tables, and touch screens, all of which can harbor germs that cause respiratory infections, stomach viruses, or even more serious diseases. One of the most common travel-related illnesses is the common cold or flu, which can be much more dangerous for seniors than for younger people. A simple cold can quickly turn into bronchitis or pneumonia in older adults. The risk is even greater if they already suffer from chronic respiratory conditions like COPD or asthma. And while younger travelers might recover quickly from food poisoning or a stomach bug, a senior could experience severe dehydration, hospitalization, or complications from medications due to such infections. Another danger zone is international travel. Different countries have different pathogens, bacteria, and vaccination requirements. Seniors may not have built immunity to certain diseases present in other regions. Travel to areas with poor sanitation, questionable food safety standards, or unsafe drinking water increases the risk of gastrointestinal infections like E. coli, salmonella, or parasites, conditions that can take a serious toll on an older body. Infections are also more likely if a senior suffers from chronic conditions like diabetes, which can impair the immune response and slow wound healing. Even a small cut or scrape while walking on a beach or hiking a trail can become infected if not treated properly, and medical help may not always be close at hand. On top of that, seniors often take multiple medications, some of which may suppress the immune system or interact poorly with antibiotics. Not all foreign pharmacies or clinics will carry the appropriate drugs, and miscommunication due to language barriers can lead to inadequate or unsafe treatment. Vaccination is one preventative measure, but it's not a guarantee. The effectiveness of vaccines tends to decrease with age, and not all vaccines protect against every strain of a virus, especially when traveling to countries with different health threats. Also, some vaccines require advanced scheduling and boosters, which travelers sometimes overlook when planning trips. In conclusion, while travel can be exciting, it also exposes seniors to a wide range of infectious risks their bodies may not be equipped to handle. This heightened vulnerability can turn a relaxing vacation into a difficult and dangerous ordeal. Seniors must consider their health history, immunity levels, and travel environment carefully, and always prioritize preventive measures and hygiene while away from home. Travel is often marketed as an exciting, life-affirming experience, but for many seniors, it can trigger something much less glamorous, emotional strain, and even deep feelings of loneliness. While it may not be immediately visible, the emotional toll of being away from familiar places, routines, and people can be profound, especially in later life. As we age, our emotional well-being becomes closely tied to stability, comfort, and familiarity. Home is not just a physical space, it's where routines are predictable, medical needs are known and supported, and where a sense of safety resides. When seniors travel, especially to far-off or unfamiliar places, they are often removed from their emotional support systems. Whether it's a caregiver, a close friend, or a regular community group, the absence of that daily emotional connection can leave them feeling disoriented or isolated. The emotional impact is even greater if a senior is traveling alone or with people who may not fully understand their pace, needs, or emotional state. Seniors might hesitate to speak up about discomfort or fatigue, trying instead to keep up or avoid being a burden. This emotional masking can lead to internalized stress, anxiety, or sadness, especially when their experience doesn't match the expectation of having fun. Language barriers and cultural differences in foreign destinations can add another layer of emotional discomfort. Not being able to communicate easily can be frustrating for anyone, but for older adults, it may result in a feeling of helplessness or fear, particularly in urgent situations like getting lost or needing medical attention. Even simple things, ordering food, asking for help, or navigating public transportation, can become emotionally overwhelming when communication breaks down. Another subtle yet powerful emotional challenge is the loss of routine and rhythm. Seniors often find peace and confidence in the predictability of their days. Travel disrupts sleep, eating patterns, medication schedules, and daily rituals. This disruption may seem trivial, but it can lead to feelings of unease, restlessness, or even mild cognitive disorientation in some seniors, especially those already managing memory or mobility issues. Moreover, while traveling, seniors may become more aware of their limitations. They might compare themselves to younger tourists, feel self-conscious about their mobility aids, or feel left out of activities that are too strenuous or fast-paced. This sense of exclusion can quickly transform into emotional loneliness, even in a crowded place. Finally, returning from a trip doesn't always solve these issues. Seniors may come back feeling emotionally depleted rather than refreshed. They may need days or even weeks to recover physically and mentally, and during that time, the emotional fallout from the trip may linger, especially if they had negative or stressful experiences. In conclusion, while travel is often seen as emotionally enriching, for seniors, it can come with hidden emotional burdens that affect their mental well-being. Recognizing this risk is vital for older adults and their families when planning trips. Emotional care is just as important as physical safety, and sometimes staying connected and grounded at home offers more comfort and joy than any far-off destination. For many seniors, retirement is a time to enjoy the fruits of their labor, and travel often seems like the perfect way to do just that. However, what is often overlooked is the significant financial burden that travel can bring, one that may outweigh the benefits and create unnecessary stress or regret. Unlike working adults who still have a steady income, most seniors live on fixed retirement incomes. Whether it's a pension, Social Security, or savings, these funds are limited and carefully budgeted to cover essential needs like housing, food, health care, and medications. Adding the unpredictable and often high costs of travel can easily disrupt that balance. Travel costs go well beyond flights and hotels. Seniors often require special accommodations that increase the price of travel, such as travel insurance for pre-existing conditions, priority seating, accessible lodging, or even mobility equipment rentals. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities for health and comfort. However, they come at a premium that many may not have accounted for when planning their trip. Then there's medical travel insurance, which is vital for older adults but can be surprisingly expensive. Most standard travel insurance policies exclude coverage for chronic illnesses, and some won't cover seniors past a certain age. Finding a policy that provides adequate protection, especially for international travel, can be costly. And even with good insurance, out-of-pocket expenses like co-pays, medication, or emergency transportation may still apply. Another overlooked cost is that of unexpected changes or emergencies. Flight cancellations, lost luggage, extended hotel stays due to illness, or needing to return home early for medical reasons can all add hundreds or even thousands of dollars to a trip. Seniors may also face fees for trip cancellation or rescheduling if their health suddenly prevents them from traveling. Moreover, impulse spending can quietly erode financial stability. Travel often encourages spontaneous spending on meals, excursions, souvenirs, and transportation. In tourist-heavy areas, prices are inflated, and seniors may not always notice they're being overcharged, especially when using foreign currency or credit cards with high international fees. The emotional pressure to take one last big trip can also lead to risky financial decisions. Some seniors may dip into their emergency funds or savings meant for future health care or long-term care, believing the trip is worth the short-term sacrifice. But if a medical or financial crisis arises later, that money may be sorely missed. Finally, some seniors may feel obligated to travel for family events, weddings, reunions, or holidays, even when it strains their finances. The desire to stay connected is completely understandable, but when done at a high financial cost, it can lead to stress, guilt, or regret after the fact. In conclusion, while travel can offer joy and new experiences, it must be approached with caution, especially in later life. The financial toll of travel is real and can undermine the stability and peace of mind that seniors have worked hard to achieve. Thoughtful planning and honest budgeting are essential to ensure that a dream trip doesn't turn into a long-term financial setback.